All right, I'm recording too. I'm just using the built-in recording on the iPad.
Cool.
What's up, world? We're live.
What's up, buddy? How are you, man?
PG Storyteller. How's it going, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I'm pumped to do this with you, dude. And like I was just telling you, I want to do like a couple series of. I got some stuff I want to download off your dome, dude, because I've always thought you're a really intelligent, hardworking guy, and I'd like to deconstruct that some. Is that cool?
I'm at your disposal, dude. My mind is here. Ask away. I love this stuff. Been working incredibly hard lately. As you know, I'm a new dad, and I love working. I love connecting. I'm just lucky as hell. I don't know if you saw my last post. I just went home to see my son. I mean, my house is like around the corner from my office, so I could just literally go and spend 10 minutes with him anytime I feel like it. So I just went home, held him. He's giggling, and I'm in a great mood. I already was in a great mood, but now I'm in an amazing mood.
Well, I didn't see your post because I was surfing an hour ago, so I'm in a really, really good mood too.
Nice. That's zen. You live on the beach, huh?
I live like 8 minutes, close my door, toes are on the sand from the beach, but I drive. But it's a drive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's pretty good.
Are you a big surfer?
I've been obsessed with surfing and like really designed my life around it for the last like 12 years or so, but I suck.
Really? It takes that long?
Well, listen,
or it's
man,
just hard.
It's number one, it's hard. Number two, I'm not the most athletic guy in the world, right? I'm competitive at sports and I can do stuff, but I'm not like a strong guy. When I started, I was fat. Like I had to lose weight. I had to like develop shoulders that aren't those of prepubescent little girls. And, and then after that, once I started getting some critical capacity in California, I broke my wrist. So I took a year and a half off. Then I started building it back up again, moved to Miami, where you can surf like 12 to 15 times a year. So you just don't get the reps, man.
Yeah, you need reps. But as long as you are good enough to enjoy it, it's like golf, you know? People like suck, but if they can enjoy it, then they can make it a huge thing. And for me, it's funny that golf is my thing. So I'm coming back from spine surgery. So I had to take a couple of years off, but now I'm back into it and it's amazing.
It has a surprising amount of crossover with golf because what I find consistently that people love about golf and surfing are being outdoors in a beautiful aesthetic environment and being present.
And focus, and they both give you the chance to get in the zone. Mm-hmm. Like when you catch that wave, or when you make a really good shot, like and you hit 5 good shots in a row, you're just like nothing else matters. Time goes slow. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's presence, man. It's presence, right? Like you are present. You're not thinking about something else. You're not texting somebody when you're like lining up to putt. You're just focused on whatever. It's the same thing.
Do you play golf or no?
I do poorly as well.
Sorry, I was going to say on the topic, there's a book. I don't know if you heard of the book called Flow.
Yes.
Yeah. I it's a little dense. And I think I gave up, for lack of a better term, like a partially way through, but I'm going to finish it at some point, but it's interesting. And then there's another book on that topic called Deep Work. That one I read completely, but it's the same concept of being in the zone.
Yeah, presence, I'm very familiar with those concepts. I haven't read those books though. Let's jump into this though, man.
Let's go.
Where I wanted to start with this, dude, is I've known you for 20 plus years now, which is crazy. No, not 20. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. 20? 19? Like 1997,
we met in high school, right?
Yeah, 21. Yeah.
97. Right. That's 20 years. 20 years, almost, basically.
Legit, right? Lightly, right? So I know you and I have interacted a bunch at times. We've played poker together. We've kept up with each other. You've always struck me as, I'm going to start as if this isn't flattering, but like, I never thought that you weren't like the smartest dude I knew or the funniest dude I knew, but you were super smart and super funny. And like you've always had this like hustle inside of you that's very ingrained, right? Like when you talk about, like, I don't know if I would have voted you most likely to succeed, but I would definitely would have voted you most likely to have your own business and be hustling. You know, like you're the closest thing to a Gary Vee kind of personality that I feel like is a born thoroughbred entrepreneur from the outside looking in, man. So is that something, am I right there? Like, is that something kind of like, where do you think that comes from?
You've definitely hit the nail on the head. I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but I started selling mixtape CDs in high school. You remember that?
Yeah.
And people still have them, and they've been sending me pictures of the CDs. DJ Scribbly talking like these people still have these discs from 1995 to 97. So I was burning discs and selling them for $10 back in the day before it was even technically illegal off Napster, whatever. So school came easy to me, but I hated it. So I was in the AP classes that we were in together, and I was good at math, and I was like moderately funny. I think I had a good sense of humor. I wasn't the most social, but I was definitely I was always looking for a gig in terms of hustle. What could I slang? What could I do? Making money here. I love like gambling. I love playing blackjack. I was down in the Bahamas playing blackjack or going on the cruise ships with some of the guys, just looking for ways. I won a stock market competition in like ninth grade. Just something about being in the market, whatever market it is like a rush that I always loved. And for sure, that was one thing that, yeah.
And you've always struck me as extremely competitive too.
I am. I'm definitely competitive. I was overweight in high school, so I wasn't as competitive, but I mean, I wasn't in a place to win, but I was still competitive. But yeah, when I get competitive, it's like no holds barred. In fact, as an adult now, sometimes it gets me in trouble because like I'm willing to say things or do things that people are like, bro, really? Like, it's like life or death like that. And I'm like, yes, it is. It's all or nothing. Don't you see the way I see it? And not everybody sees it that way. So it's just, it's interesting.
So talk to me. So I know a million lawyers, right? Like everybody I know in Miami is a lawyer. Very few, the majority of them get these golden handcuffs with big law and they hate their life and they're still in that thing and they can't get out of it. Your young professional years is probably the least point of contacts that you and I had. So talk me through when you went from out of law school to starting your own law firm.
So for me, it's unique because I basically went, I was lucky enough to get good enough grades to go to an Ivy League school, mostly because I was a legacy and my mom went there. If I hadn't gotten into Penn, I probably would have just gone to UF. That's where you went, right?
Yeah, just UF.
Like
yeah.
most people. No, I know, and I knew it came out the wrong way, but like I would have been like most of the smart people that didn't get into Ivy Leagues or didn't want to pay for Ivy Leagues. Anyway, that's not to answer your question, but
we'll edit that out. Edit that out.
But basically where I was going was I was still a rich kid at the time, and I still didn't really have an idea of what the fuck I was going to do or anything. So I was like, I'm going to just go to law school because I know my grandparents were going to pay for that. And my business school, I had got a scholarship for. So I was like, I'll probably be able to figure my life out after this. So I'll buy some more time. Luckily for me, it wasn't giving me debt. I don't hide my past. Like some people might be ashamed. It is what it is. So I went to law school. Luckily, like right around that same time, the family money was all gone. Luckily, I still didn't have debt. So anyway, I had to get a job. Like I literally had to get a job. Like there was no more money. My parents weren't going to pay for anything at that point. I graduated. I passed the bar, and I really needed, for the first time, to really, it just kind of the timing lined up right. And I needed a job. So I got a job at Goldfarb's office, which was, a family friend. He was my basketball coach from growing up, and his son was down here. So I got a great job. It was very low pay. Basically, I had just enough money to survive. And I worked there for about 2 years. And I had one case that I had brought in where I knew I was going to be getting like a decent amount of money from. And then I knew that it would like support me enough based on I had like 10 or 15 other clients just from schmoozing and the same personality, being a hustler. Like I was trying to get my own cases. And even though I had a job, I knew at the end of the day that doing the work is only a fraction. The most important thing is bringing the business in. Like that's one thing that I always knew. It's in my blood, and I continue to cultivate that by selling the CDs, doing the other activities and gambling and whatever over the years. So I never, even though I was just like getting into the world, I always knew that I had to be getting the business. Like I had to be the one getting the business. I had to have a name. I couldn't just be a guy in the back drafting the lawsuits and going to court. Like, that was worthless to me. That for me, and this is a big answer to your question, I knew that from growing up. It has nothing to do with law at all. It has nothing to do with any specific industry. It has everything to do with just being a hustler grinder. So I had friends at the big law firms that were like obsessed with becoming the world's greatest lawyer. And I was like, that's cool, but I'm going to be focused on getting business in and making sure that I have a brand and people know my name. And I'm small now, but that's going to be something that's valuable for 60 years. Like, regardless of how good of a lawyer I am, people will send me business. I know that. So I brought that to the table right away, so that on the second year where I realized that I wasn't going to be working there and I left and I started my own firm, it was a matter of time. So I feel like in any business, especially lawyers, you get to a point where you're like, some people are employees for life, right? Some people, they just don't have the risk tolerance. They just want the paycheck. They are miserable. Most of them, they'll admit it. I mean, a few are happy, whatever. That's cool. There could be happy employees. It's not impossible. But a lot of lawyers especially are miserable. There's like some kind of sliding scale where it's like, all right, I've done this for 6 years. I can't do it much longer, right? Some people can wait 10. Me, I was a 1 to 2 year kind of guy. Like, that was it. I'm going to come in, I'm going to learn as much as I can, and then I'm out, and I'm going to try and make it in the world, because I can't just be an employee. Like, so, and then I just kind of went out, and I just didn't give a fuck about being the world's greatest lawyer. I said, if I treat people right and I get back to them quickly, everything will take care of itself. And it has. And so I don't know, if that kind of answers a question for you, but I started in a studio apartment. I started with nothing. I had like 60 or 80 grand when that first big case settled. I had no overhead. I had like 10 cases, little auto accident cases that I was going to make between 1,000 to 5,000 on each over the course of the next year. This is a good way to end my answer. When I left Goldfarb, it was a Friday, and I was like, okay, it's Friday at 5 o'clock, whatever. I just quit my job. And I said, I'm not going to go to sleep tonight until Sibley Law has a website that's live. And I'm a techie guy, but I'm not a technical guy. I'm not a programmer. So I learned one of my most important lessons that specific night, which is basically you can do almost anything if you're motivated. And I had to watch like 10 YouTube videos, and I had to fucking buy 3 different accounts. I had to buy the hosting, none of the shit that you don't know when you don't know, right? I had to buy a hosting account. I had to build the actual website. I had to figure out a way to move it from where I built it to the host. I had to configure email on the host, all this shit that is super fucking annoying. But if you're motivated enough, you'll definitely get it done. And, that was, I learned a great lesson that night, and I had my website at like 3 a.m. and I felt very satisfied. And then that was the beginning.
Yeah, I like it. I want to highlight a couple of things that I heard there, and then it's a good transition point into what I kind of wanted to talk about next. I hear a lot of, I think that I see a lot of me in you with the exception that I'm not a super hustler grinder, right? Like, I'm like a way lazier version of you. I'm
kind of lazy sometimes, to be honest, but go ahead.
Yeah, but not like me, bro.
Okay.
But I have always believed in what you just said. You don't have to be the best at what you do, but as long as you're the person that's treating people the best, it's gonna work out. Because you're gonna end up, as long as you're treating people right, you are gonna deliver to them something that at the end of the day makes them happy. So it's not, like I remember in my early days of when I was pivoting from being director of sustainability at a construction company to becoming a business developer, because I inherently knew I had to be a rainmaker to be valuable. And I was spending all my time with nonprofits in Miami. I remember common friends of ours actually telling me, what do you do? Dude, stay in the fucking office, bro. Like, grind harder. Like, what are you doing? Like, at Habitat and like with Beacon Council. I'm like, no, man, you don't understand. Like, I'm putting out value into the community, and I'm making these connections, and all this stuff's going to pay off, right? Like, I didn't know how it was going to be, but it,
right.
It's
you knew it was.
totally
That's it.
You know it
Like
was.
the
Yeah.
Gary V, like just put value out. That's the end of the analysis.
Yeah, totally. And
Yep,
then
yep,
and then when Gary Vee came around, he validated it for everybody in a really loud megaphone.
yep.
So so I remember you doing the switch, and you built a website way before Wix or like, like
I used the
it was when
built-in like
nerds built
Apple
websites,
thing.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, like 2009,
Yeah,
2009.
2009, early YouTube.
Yep.
So
Google didn't even own YouTube back then.
Google
Like they
didn't
were
own
5 or
YouTube.
7 years before even owning YouTube back
Yeah,
then.
yeah. I mean,
Crazy.
I got on Facebook in 2009. Like, you don't have to tell me how early that was, right? Like,
Okay. Yeah,
so,
it's crazy.
um, so then the next thing I remember, the next time you blipped on my radar was in the early Facebook days when I saw you talking about Slack. We are a technology driven firm. We're early adopters on Slack. I'm going to run my stuff the way that the newest businesses run it. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I was an early adopter of Slack. So I'm a tech guy. I mean, I'm tech obsessed. I always have been. I had a BlackBerry way back in the day before, and I just loved communicating with people. I loved BBM. I loved how it was like everyone could be connected in real time, share photos, group chat, like communicating. So I was always, I don't know where that came from, but anyway, and it's important because I'm just tech. I love tech. Like I can fix almost any tech issue. I was before a Windows guy. Now I'm an Apple guy. Anything Apple, I can fix it. And I get pleasure out of helping people because I know how helpless people feel when they're dealing with a tech issue. And for me to come, and they literally like want to cry. Like they need this thing to work and it just won't work. And I'm like, oh, it works. Saved your life. Here you go.
Yeah,
No charge.
That's
I'm
me.
just happy. Yeah. And I've done that over the years and I'll continue to do that because it's like awesome to be able to do that. But I wanted to make sure that like, that's one of my superpowers or maybe one of my most superpowers. So I wanted to make sure that I was bringing my superpower into my office every day. Right. So I, of course, was always basically what happened was I just followed tech blogs and I followed stuff and I was just a nerd in my free time. And I was like, I guess I can actually remember like implementing Slack in the very early days. Funny enough is like, I liked all these platforms and these tools for like collaborating, but I couldn't afford any payroll. So I was like convincing people that were like in the industry with me to like join my digital team. That like someone at a doctor's office, a friend of mine, she was like on my Slack team, even though she didn't work for me. But we had such good energy that she would like help me and I would help her. Like I would fix her tech problems and she would call my Spanish speaking clients for me and help me go talk to them because I couldn't do that and she couldn't do what I was doing for her. So she joined my team, for example, and then I could afford like a little intern here and there and I build my team. But basically from my perspective, it was like, I love tech. Tech is the future. Why would I not start adopting and building tech as early as possible? Because I want to build this huge, successful mega firm and I need to build the backbone for it now. And every different piece of technology that I learn how to use and implement, and I'll be ready to scale. So that was kind of like my thinking that even though I'm not ready to scale now, I'll be in a position in the future where I know how these different things work and man, we'll be able to crush it. So that was kind of my thinking with all that.
I'm glad exactly how you answered that because the next thing I wanted to hit, and I only got like 7 more minutes, right? But like, to me, my new thesis is that the people that I see that are truly successful, first figure out what they're really good at that they love doing, figure out their superpowers. Then they figure out how to put that into service of others. Then they figure out how to monetize things around that service, in a way that is really valuable and a genuine transaction. And then they build a business around it. Right. So when I see you and I think technology enabled law firm, lean into that, you were able to leverage that superpower that isn't perfectly related to what you're talking about into getting somebody else to help you out with certain services and like a barter system. And then I also see competitive, sharp, super driven dude. It just screams PI lawyer, right? like
sure,
it's
why
exactly
not,
who
right?
you are, who likes to be of service, right? Like,
of course,
yeah.
Makes perfect sense. When you deconstruct it and you build it back up, it's like It's because it's like a diamond, right? So if you put enough pressure on it and you just continually have a vision, it's always going to come out perfect if you apply the right techniques. There's no other way. It's always going to be great in the end. It's just a matter of getting there and just staying true to, the vision. So I'm not anywhere near where I want to be. Like I said before we got on the call, I just had a conference call with some of my team, and man, we have so much stuff that we want to do, like so much. I could work 18 hours a day into oblivion and I'd still, have a ton of work to do. So yeah, just, it's exciting.
How many people work for you these days?
So when I had my firm, Sibley Law, it was me and 6 people.
Okay.
Then I merged with my partner in Tampa with Matt Dolman, which is where I was yesterday. And we let about half of the people go that were my legacy employees because their positions became redundant. And then we merged the firms together. So we have his firm, which he's about 6 years older than me. So he's got a little bit of a bigger firm in place. So the Sibley Dolman team is kind of like about 10 people total. It's about 3 attorneys and 5 or 6 paralegals.
Yeah,
it's great. And we have about another 15 or 20 staff that's kind of like also ancillary, like they're part of our sister company, so we lean on them when we need to. And it is what it is. It's amazing right now the setup that we have, and we're growing, and just it's awesome.
So jump off 2009, no employees, building your own website, to now 10 employees, growth, merging with other firms, leveraging other partnerships.
It's amazing. I mean, it's sometimes easy to lose track and of where you're at, and it's nice to look back and talk to someone from the outside and say, damn, I am pretty cool, whatever.
Yeah, balling, dog,
but it's good to look back. It's good to look back and see things, but it's also really good to wake up every day with a fucking vision that you just want to execute against. So that's where I'm at. I love it. So
that's a good ending point for me, bro.
All right, man, that was awesome. So we'll do it again real soon. Yeah,
let's do it again soon. I'm at a conference all week next week. So this is my move next week, man. I'm going to I'm starting my own podcast, right? That's going to come out, but I'm going to this podcast conference called the Podcast Movement in Orlando. That's like the world's biggest podcast conference, not to figure out how to start my own podcast, but I'm going to network the shit out of it and get on 100 podcasts in the next 90 days. Like, it's going to be like my tour. It's my equivalent PR tour of morning talk show radio hosts. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's my new hack. Like, I'm just like, cause every time I get on a podcast, I get exposed to, 500 to 1,000 new people. And
for sure,
I get sound bites of me sounding intelligent. I get media to give out, right? Like, I'm just leveraging other people's networks nonstop, which is.
By the way, you can commit. If you need me for anything, I will be there digitally there. If you need a lawyer for whatever reason, you can always count on me. I'll fucking put my costume on and I'll be on a podcast or a video cast. I don't care, dude. 4 a.m, I'm up early. I'll stay up late. I don't care. If you need me, I'm there.
For sure.
I'm the same thing. Like, I'm on the same mindset.
I know, man. I like that we reconnected like this, man. I want to keep spitting this. I'm definitely, once I launch the podcast, and you're definitely going to be like a real guest on it. And
dude,
and we'll keep going, bro.
I love it. Yeah, man. Amazing. And when's the podcast? When's the Orlando thing start?
Tuesday through Friday next week.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Hit me up, dude. Good luck with that. Have fun.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Whenever you want to do this again, let me know.
Done.